Good evening, Sheenu. We'll be starting in another 5 minutes. We are waiting for students to join. We'll just be starting in another 5 minutes. Just we are waiting for more students to join.
Sure, sure. Okay. Yeah.
I guess we should start then. Very cheerful evening, everyone. Myself, Prasoon. I'm a junior marketing associate at GyanDhan. Welcome you all to a very insightful session on scholarship to study in the US in 2025. So, before moving on to our session, let me just introduce you all about GyanDhan. GyanDhan is India's first education financing marketplace, and we are one-stop solution for all your study abroad queries. We have held more than 25,000 plus students and disbursed 8,000 crore rupees in loan amount, and we have 1,200 plus student review also. We work with leading bank partners such as SBI, HDFC Credila, ICICI. You can see it in the PDF. Now, I'll just introduce you to our speaker, the founder of EduNation Consultant, Sheenu. She is an ex-officer visa with 18 plus years of industry experience. She has helped countless students with her deep understanding of the overseas education sphere. Sheenu, I welcome you.
Good evening, Prasoon. Thank you for the introduction. Good evening, everybody. Through this session, I endeavor to clarify your queries around how you could secure scholarships in the US, the criteria, and what could be ways where you could strengthen your application for a visa before you decide to go ahead with your US process and applications. Yes.
So, guys, you can post your questions in the chat box, and we'll be taking one question at the time, and we'll be answering
Yes.
it. And moving on to our first question. So, Shinu, I want you to share some key tips on how students can make their scholarship applicants stand out in competitive pool.
Okay, so this is a very good and it's a broad question. So I will break it down into two parts. So the question I restated for everybody to understand. It says, what are the key tips on you as students, where, in a way, that you would need to be mindful of to secure the scholarships, the maximum number of scholarships, and you can make your scholarship application stand out in a competitive pool. Uh, First, what is the eligibility criteria to work on a scholarship application? Second, how do you highlight things that will actually disintegrate your application as against other applications? So I'm going to divide it into two parts. The basic eligibility criteria for a scholarship application is you need to understand the academic eligibility. You need to understand what are the specific requirements against English proficiency, the financial need, and the country of origin. So a typical scholarship application depends upon majority of these factors. However, now if you want to get a default scholarship, that is one thing. But if you really want to maximize the scholarship amount for any university, you have to think out of the box, as we say. You have to really ponder over your achievements as a student over and above your academics, over and above the financial capacity. Of course, we would be stating that you come from, we're from India, and the conversion rate is on the higher side. Therefore, any amount of scholarship or a good amount of scholarship would be a big contributor to for you to be able to facilitate your travel to the country. But on merit basis, you as a student can secure scholarships by highlighting things like what have been your extracurricular achievements. Apart from academics, have you been into some sports wherein you've represented? And when I say sports, please be mindful, it should not just be the usual routine sport activities in school. Have you represented your school or a district or something which really, really stands out, which you can highlight? Because any institution in the US pays a lot of attention and lays a lot of weight to your extracurricular, because there are a lot of activities. So, sports being one of them, arts and creativity. So, are you into some sort of art form? It could be a dance, it could be sketching, and again, not the routine class wise, but have you created a portfolio? Have you represented in some competitions? And we have to place these things very strategically. These days, a lot of us and a lot of students participate in MUNs, diplomathons. So these are the things which are really, really going to catch the examiner's attention, whosoever is looking at your scholarship application, and for that matter, your university application, your statement of purpose. So they would just want to see a common application across students that they are receiving submissions for. They want to see what more do you have as against a second student, that they should offer you a good and a higher scholarship. And I'm going to quote an example. Just give me a minute before I move, talk about one more aspect in terms of your extracurricular. Second thing is your participation in initiatives. What that means is, these days, if you would notice, there is a lot of stress on environment, on preserving the environment, participation in NGOs, blood donation, Rotary clubs. So you should be a part of this. And for students who are in the process of applying, thinking, researching, begin today. Be a part of some sort of a, I think, am I not audible? Swapnil has just stated that I'm not audible.
No, Sheenu, you're audible. You're
Am
properly
I
audible.
audible?
Yes.
Swapnil, there might have been a mild disconnect. Am I able? Am I audible to you now?
Uh, Sheenu, you're properly audible.
I'm audible. So can
Yes.
somebody else also raise hands if I'm clearly audible to the other speaker, other listeners too? Let me just see. Um, so yes, I think yes. So I
Yes,
think it's
you're
all good.
audible.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Thank you, Lakshay. So, what I mean to say, what I was saying was, your participation in the green initiatives, your participation in in different NGO roles will really, really mark that differentiator for you to be able to maximize a scholarship. I'll share an example now. There was a grade 12 student who had got through admissions for two universities, Purdue University and Arizona State University. She had secured a very good scholarship. But of course, being a very bright student from one of the most reputed schools in Delhi NCR, we were not very convinced that this should be it. I was also not convinced. So, what we did, despite the excellent grades, despite the fact that she was into sports, we tried to dig deeper as part of the profile. To which after which I realized and we noticed that she and her friend, during the time of COVID, that particular year, what they did was they created solar lamps. And what they did, so they created solar lamps by way of crowdfunding. And they had named the initiative. There was a particular name. On account of confidentiality, I would not say the name, but due to crowdfunding, they receiving the crowdfunding, they were able to help students for slum areas, and they distributed 700 solar lamps to students in those slum areas, so that they can study at night, because during COVID there was a lot of electricity issues. Kids from underprivileged classes were not able to afford a lot of things. We made this thing a part of her scholarship application. Rather, I started her scholarship application as by stating this achievement in a very, very strategic way. So she got a 10,000 USD scholarship, which was the initial one, and that was rolling for 4 years because she was going for a bachelor's. After we submitted the scholarship letter, as in the essay, the scholarship amount was increased by another 15,000 USD. So the total scholarship that the student received was 25,000 rolling scholarship, which means rolling in the US terms is year on year. So that is how important. And um, in fact, Prasoon, I think there is an internet issue. Give me a minute, because Aman also has stated, and
No, 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 Sheenu, it's not for you. It's for the students, I guess. I posted it for the students.
oh, you have, okay.
Yes, yes. I guess they are
Um,
facing some issue.
so
You are properly.
I'm
Yeah.
fine, right?
Yes,
Okay,
you're
fine,
fine.
great. So certain things. So these are the things. If you really want to get into that pool of exhibiting a competitive scholarship application, you have to think more. You have to go back in time, look at your profile, and jot down bullet points. What is it, apart from your academics, apart from your basic curricular achievements, that you would like us to highlight? And get in touch with us. We can associate, and we can support you to understand your profile, and kind of map it in a way that we know how it can be presented to a university to maximize your scholarship. So these are the things which will really, really help to get into the competitive pool.
I hope they must have got the answer for this question. So there are some questions
Yes.
in Q&A section.
Okay.
Yograj has asked, I am going for my master's in fall 24. Can I apply for scholarship for my second year of MS now?
Okay, thank you for your question, Yograj. So, since you already have an admission for this year's intake, scholarships are in the form of bursaries, which is called discounts, or in the form of rewards, like rebates, which is on the basis of your performance, are definitely a part of every program. But you will have to be in that university and reach out to your faculty and admin to understand what are the internal scholarships that are available to students who are existing as part of the program, that you will get an understanding of once you are in the country. So the scholarships that we are able to see and understand as an international student and as a consultant from India are the ones which we are looking at for new applicants. You've got an admission, congratulations on that. And to answer your question, there are scholarships, there are bursaries, there are discounts and rebates as rewards for good performers. Most of them are based on your grades, what you achieve in your first year of masters. So what you should be doing is you should target a good GPA so that you're able to command that scholarship, but keep in touch and speak with your faculty to understand what are the availabilities for you as an international student who's completed year 1 and would be getting into year 2 by towards the end of 2025. So there are provisions.
I hope your question is answered, Yograj.
Yogesh,
Uh,
just give us a thumbs up if I've been able to answer your question.
yes.
um,
There's another question.
Perfect.
Yes, perfect.
Yes.
So there's another question from Laksh. He asked if we have low CGPA like 6.6 or 6.7 and have many back, but we have good GRE score of 320 plus and good TOEFL of 110, can we get chance in university like UTA United?
Okay, so totally subjective. Thank you for your question. Is that Lakshay? Yes, thank you
Yes.
for your question, Lakshay. This is a subjective thing. While the admission criteria in the US is different from other countries, wherein even if your grades are average, but if you have other things that you could exhibit, there is a chance of you getting into a university. But there are certain benchmark criteria which is different for every university. So there could be a university which might accept your application with a 6.6 CGPA and a good GRE, and of course TOEFL, because English language requirements are never waived. You have to achieve a good English score. And then there could be a possibility wherein a university says that this is the minimum. So for a bachelor's, the minimum could be 2.8 to 3.2 as a CGPA. And for a master's, it has to be 3 and above for good universities. If we are looking at good, I mean top 100 or top 50 universities. If we are looking at top 200 or top 300 universities, depending upon programs, which could be STEM or non-STEM, the requisites can vary. So this is a subjective question. As I say, every university might have a different criteria. You and I can always connect, and I can, looking at your profile, suggest relevant course options and universities, which will give you a clearer picture where all you can apply with the current score that you hold. Wish you all the best.
I hope Laksh you must have got the answer. So there's one more question from
Yes.
Arbaz. He's saying, "Ma'am, I'm in 12th I'm a 12th passed undergraduate student, and I gave
Yes.
NEET this year, and I have scored 300. I want to study in US with a scholarship. How's the better course with scholarship?"
Okay, thank you for your question, Arbaz. This question, as I said, we will have to. So, how we work, how we go about shortlisting course options. So, from your question, I understand that you are looking at a study program in MBBS or something to do with medicine or surgery. So, we will have to work on your profile, understand your grade, look at the budgets that you're looking at. Of course, as I answered in the first question, scholarships are prevalent. We have to place your profile in a way that, on the basis of the program, on the basis of the institution, and the type of scholarships that we are applying for, where would you be able to secure the maximum amount of benefit? So yes, we will weigh and balance, and yes, you will get a good course. You can secure scholarships. It's just that we will have to figure out, shortlist relevant courses, and then we can go about applying for the same. So you can get in touch with me for that.
I hope Arbaz you got your answer. Mm. Guys, you can post your questions. Uh, still we are moving on
Okay,
with the next. Still we are moving on with the next question.
sure.
So this is some interesting. Like, what are some common mistakes students make when applying for scholarships? and how can they avoid them?
Right. Good question. So we need to understand and differentiate between two things here. Your scholarship application is not your college essay, right? So first of all, we need to stick to the reason why you are submitting it. We do not need to revisit the entire draft about what is your family background, what was your program. I've seen so many drafts, scholarship essays talking repeatedly about, okay, I've this was what I took as subjects in my grade 11, grade 12. Don't be monotonous in your write up. Your scholarship is an achievement. Scholarship is a reward of what you've done. Hence, what you need to do is, as I spoke about your achievements, as I spoke about extra traits, you have to keep that as the center of your application, that why you truly deserve that particular, whether it's a Fulbright scholarship or any other scholarship, why do you think you're truly deserving? Secondly, you have to make it a point that you connect the reason of you deserving that scholarship to the program, that this is what you feel that you can add value as part of the program, and that is the reason why you feel that you should be given that scholarship. Second, there have been cases wherein I've read a content wherein we try to show that I'm not from a very strong financial background. It's okay, of course we have to convey that, but convey that in a way that you are zealous, you are excited to join that university, right? You should show that you would want that opportunity because you deserve it, not because it's any sort of a weakness. Keep that in mind, students. So you should turn that around. Of course, my parents may not be in a position to afford a higher fee, but then how do I place it in a way that they understand that yes, you are, as a student, are deserving despite the economic background. Your acumen, your credentials are strong, that is why you deserve it. So the choice of words, do not make it as, present it as a weakness. Show this, that this would be an opportunity for the university and for you as a student to contribute to each other. As a student, you would be in a position to learn from the best of faculty. As a university, they would be in a position to gain a student who has a wholesome profile, is good at academics, is really excited to learn more, can contribute towards different clubs and teams. And as a part of the program, since this has been our inclination, you would want to give your best to gain the maximum and prove that you were a good resource for the university. So it has to be a win-win. Avoid saying, since I cannot afford. Of course, at times you have to say that, choice of words, I come from a middle class background or from an upper middle class where the incomes are not as substantial as against US incomes. Hence, to bridge the gap or to balance it out, it would be great if I can get the opportunity of securing a good scholarship, which means I would be in a position to secure a seat at your prestigious universities. So choice of words is very important. It should not come across as a request out of nothing. It should come across as something that you feel and are convinced of that you deserve to get. So we can assist you with how to draft scholarship essays. We do that. But of course, we will engage together. Get in touch with us. And of course, I'll be in a position to assist you further on that.
Thank you, Sheenu. So there are
Yes.
some more questions.
Yes, I see there are some questions
Yes.
which are being posted.
So Praveen asked,
Hmm.
shall I? So
Yeah, yeah,
Praveen
sure,
asked,
sure.
Praveen asked, ma'am, I'm a currently final student. I want to do masters in fall 2025. What should I do? Like do job for 1 year or can I go?
Okay, so Praveen, since you are already in your final year, and I presume that you would be finishing your studies by next year, if you are in your final year, or would you be appearing for your exams this year? If you could just clarify that, because then I would be in a better position to answer this question. Are you pursuing? Have you started your final year, or would you be finishing your final year now? Okay,
Right now,
let me answer in both scenarios. So, if you are in your final year and you are appearing for the exams this year, the gap would not be much before you start applying for your masters in the US for fall intake, because you would be receiving your results in about if you're appearing for the exams in July, August, you will get your results by September, October. And between October and fall next year, it's just a gap of about 5 to 6 months. So that gap is acceptable, because when we are writing your college essay, we are going to lay emphasis on the fact that I was preparing for my international education. I was doing the homework, and I was preparing for my IELTS. I was in the process of submitting applications, so that is not considered as a gap. If you would be appearing for your exams next year, then anyway you would be right there one after the other for your master's study, so there won't be any gap as such. Hence, in both cases, it's not necessary, because it's not a full 1 year gap. Just a couple of months, it works fine. Even if you don't want to do anything from a job perspective, instead, what you could do is, to enhance your essay, you could take up some internships, maybe for a month or 2 months or 3 months. Or you could, if there is somebody who who has a business, or you want to support or as a supervisor or as a learner, you could just kind of be there to highlight that you utilize this time as an intern. So you could take up an internship or an NGO initiative, that you could do.
Uh, I hope Praveen, your question is answered. So he told me that he has started his final year right now.
So he'll be finishing it next year, so there won't be any gap as such, so we can immediately get on to master's application with and he does not need to join a job or something, nothing at all, Praveen.
Okay, so there's
Then
next
we
question
have
from
another question, I guess.
yes, yes, we have another question from Sapnil. Ma'am, I have 5+ year experience in mechanical engineering field and my diploma and degree in mechanical engineering field. But now I want to do masters in computer science.
Right. So Swapnil, good question, because a lot of students at times, they want to change their line of study, and that's a very good question. So, what was if the initial qualification was around, if you had PCM and if you did have an element of computer science before you graduated, in grade 12, and and what is your actual qualification? Is it BTech mechanical, or was it a bachelor's in technology without a specific field? That's important to know. And secondly, you have a 5+ experience in mechanical, but if in between you've taken up any sort of job responsibilities which involved tech as a platform, software as as a part of your working, as a part of your job role, or any sort of analytics as part of your job role, AI, robotics, it is a high possibility that you can switch, because you're not switching from a computer science to humanities. So you could do that, but we have to bridge and give proper reasons why you want to shift from a mechanical engineering to computer science. One would be demand, of course. Second would be your interest, supported by some sort of activities that are a highlight as part of your CV, that we could highlight in your statement of purpose and your scholarship applications. So it is a possibility. I would not say no, but we will have to work strategically again to place it in your essay in a way that the examiner understands that your reason to take up a master's in computer science is valid, and you are going there to study and not just taking this as a move to the US. So we have to validate it properly.
Okay, so I hope Swapnil, you got your answer. If you have any query, then you can reach out to ma'am. So there's one more question from
Sure.
Trishla. My daughter
Yes.
is doing her BCom. That is, she's having only 15 years of education. Does she have university which accepts 15 years of education?
Sorry, 15 years of education, which means 12 and 3. Graduation for 3 years, a bachelor's for 3 years,
Yes,
right?
it's
Of
like 12
course.
plus 3, 12 plus 3.
Of course, absolutely. So, see, an
Uh, so-
Indian graduation other than the fact we go for a BTech or an MBBS, the graduation duration for India is generically 3 years. On an international scale, this is recognized. Apart from, now for a student, this is an example, I'm slightly deviating here. A student who's completed a grade 12 and is wanting to apply for an engineering or any program in Germany and public universities, I'm deviating, they will need 13 years of study and not a graduation. This is for an undergrad course. Now, but if somebody who's going for a master's course and has completed a 3 years of graduation study in India is absolutely eligible to apply for US universities or any university overseas, because our 3 years is mostly equivalent to a 4 year study in any country. Number of credits, weightage, all of that match up. And there are in fact 90% of the universities, they are aware and that okay, 3 years of study in India is equivalent to the number of credits that are required for a bachelor study to qualify for a master's. So 15 years of education has a lot of scope, because that is the basic and the baseline criteria for most humanities, commerce, and normal BSc courses. And that's how we go about submitting admission. So Trishla, you definitely can ask your daughter to start thinking about applying for the applications for the US, and we can support you in end to end, right from shortlisting up to applying for visa.
So there was one more question from Trishla. Even for non-STEM courses, do we get scholarship?
Yes. So the only difference between STEM and non-STEM is the duration of your stay back. So, the scholarship is based on academic excellence, overall credentials. It has got nothing to do with if you're picking up a STEM based course or a non STEM. The only difference between STEM and non STEM would be on two aspects. One, as I said, for a non STEM program, the stay back that you get is for 1 year. For a STEM based program, you get a stay back of 1 year plus 2 years, which means a total of 3 years in the US, which expands your horizon to be able to go for a job search, apply to better employers, and just get that bigger bandwidth to stay in the country and get a return on investment. That's one. Second is demand for STEM courses. So students who apply for STEM based courses would be the chances of them securing relevant and good jobs in good organizations there would be higher, as against students who want to go for non-STEM courses. And since the session is about specifically for the US, this I'm talking about the US. However, any other country, if you wish to look at, you are good to apply for non-STEM or STEM, because there is no bifurcation for a STEM or non-STEM in any country apart from the US. But the stay back is, of course, there is it's different. For a non-STEM, you just get a 1 year of a stay back in the country. But
I hope Krishna,
scholarships, yes.
your questions have been answered. So there was one question from Rahul Sharma. He
Sure.
asked, currently I am pursuing MSc in physics, but now I want to move towards engineering fields. Actually, I want to
Okay.
study mechanical engineering or related field. So what you
Right.
will suggest in this case?
Okay. So MSc in physics is what Rahul has done, and he wishes to get into mechanical engineering.
Towards engineering field, yep, mechanical
Towards
engineering.
engineering. So,
Yes.
Rahul, when was my question to Rahul would be, what year has he completed his MSc in physics? Is it
So
recent?
right now he's pursuing.
He's pursuing MSc in physics.
Yes.
You can take up engineering, but we would have to look at something which is not typical engineering, Rahul. We would want to look at something which is more towards the analytics, AI, robotics, or something which is a combination. For you, I would really suggest that don't restrict yourself just to engineering, since you are a physics student. And if you want that element of engineering, there are many integrated programs in the US which also add management as a program, a management as a skill. So you should look at a combination of your MSc in, and we can talk about that, MSc in certain subjects, MSc in AI, in robotics, and you will qualify for that, because they don't need a specific subject to be a part of these streams. And then add it with an element of management, because that way you will have a very good combination of getting into leadership positions in some of the mechanical or mechatronics related organizations, because you would have the leadership skill and you would have learned the subject also. So go for integrated programs and you will qualify for it.
Rahul, I hope your question has been answered. So there was this question from Venu Srinivas. He asked, he's a chartered accountant with 6.5 years of post-qualification experience.
Okay.
Currently, he is working in finance function at a startup in India. Now he is
Right.
looking for a global MBA to open up broader opportunities. So is it a
Right.
right time or is he too late?
So you've been working for 6.5 years. Any country and US, they accept a study gap up to 8 to 9 years very conveniently. So it's not late. That's one. Second, Study gap needs to be backed by justified documentation. And as you have a post qualification experience of 6.5 years as a chartered accountant, and you are heading towards taking up an MBA, which is a gradual shift and a gradual hierarchical move, you can easily apply to the best of institutions in the US because your gap is justified. Of course, we will need to add all the documents as required right from the time when you started working as a CA to your achievements over the years, to ensure that we show a progression as to why you feel you should take up an MBA, because MBA is to take up leadership roles. So over the years, I'm sure you would have changed roles, right from a CA to as an individual capacity to maybe managing or supervising a team of a couple of people, or taking up some initiatives which shows that you have those leadership qualities. So we just have to exhibit those and then validate it that this is the reason why I wish to apply for an MBA, because now I want to get into senior level roles. And you could do that easily. This is a gap which is a justified gap. You could very well apply for MBA.
I hope, Venu Srinivasan, your question has been answered. If you have any query, you can post it in the chat box. We'll take
Yes.
it up. So there's one more question from Vikram. He asked, I have got admission acceptance from Berkeley College of Music, Boston for 4-year undergraduate course in music and performance for fall 2024. I didn't get any scholarship saying due to unprecedented competition this year. Can I get scholarship?
First of all, congratulations, Vikram, because getting through Berkeley and the program that you've taken up, I've been getting so many queries around students wanting to get into guitar, music. So this is wonderful that you've taken up as a subject, because I see students picking up as an interest in vocational. So best of luck for that. The fact that you've not got a scholarship has got nothing to do with credentials. I'm sure you must be best at it. That's why you've landed a seat at Berkeley. But the university, as they have written, I would not say that they are wrong, because I have experienced it this year. And in fact, last year onwards, there are numerous applications being submitted for courses in music, fine arts, creativity, digital, animation, VFX. Hence, this could be a very valid reason why the university was not able to give you a scholarship. Second reason that I'm assuming is, and I would want to know from you, the time when you applied for the admission, because we have to start early. Students, this is very, very important. Please, hear me out. To be able to secure a scholarship in the US, we have to start sooner. If we think for an August 2024 intake, I will start in January, trust me, even that is late. So what that means is, there is a certain allocated amount or an allocated number. And for that, if I'm looking at now, for students who are looking at a fall 2025, it may sound weird. Start now. Start compiling your documents, start working on your application so that we can start submitting in September. And that is where you would have a very high chance of securing scholarships, irrespective of the programs that you're applying for, because every program does have a scholarship. But the sooner you apply, the higher your chances are of getting it. And second, if a particular program has more than expected applications, so there is a possibility you may not get a scholarship initially. But as I answered one question a while ago, since this is a 4-year program, and if you're able to prove your mettle through your creative and through your the finesse and the art that you possess, there is a high likelihood that you would be in a position to get some rewards. And every university announces that subject by subject. So yes, I would not say you may not get another scholarship. We will first have to check for this year intake. I think it's too late. We may not be in a position to apply for any more scholarships. But for next year, start doing your homework. Talk to your faculty once you've reached your country and your university. I am very sure that they would support you with what is available for deserving students. But for others, please start early to be able to get your scholarships. Wish you all the best.
I hope, Vikram, your question is answered. Guys, you can post more questions if you have. We are moving forward with the next question, Sheenu.
Yeah, sure.
How can students identify the right scholarship that align with their academic goals and financial needs?
Okay, so this is specific. So when we are talking about scholarships, there are different. There are research-based scholarships. There are very common scholarships that are available across universities. For international students, they are Fulbright scholarships. Then we have the Hubert Humphrey Fellowships and Rotary Peace Fellowships. So that is something when we get to university websites and when we look at our departments, so there is a particular self-explanatory column which talks about international students. Now, when there are some things like FAFSA, that is only for students in the US, that is not available for international students. So we need to be aware what are the scholarships and bursaries and financial aid that's available to international students. So we will have to research that. And how to identify? We will first have to understand, as I stated a while ago, the eligibility criteria. Before applying for any scholarship, you must ensure that you meet that criteria. Every scholarship has requirements, academic achievements, your country of origin. You need to read the eligibility criteria against the tabs for the programs and then apply. You cannot just go ahead and apply for scholarships, and then you would need to research scholarships which are offered by institutions and organizations. There are some organizations apart from universities that offer scholarships to international students. So you would need to look at that. There are certain links and tabs and resources wherein you could look at that basis your financial needs. We will have to present a case, and it's a tough task because there are many available, but we will have to again look at applying timely, find out which is the most appropriate scholarship. And one more thing, US is one country wherein you are more than welcome to apply for more than one scholarships. So what that means is, it's not that, okay, fine, I've just applied for one, I cannot apply for more. No, you can apply for as many scholarships as possible to increase your chances of receiving funding. However, you need to make sure that your application meets the requirements of every scholarship. Please do not feel that, okay, fine, since I've applied for this scholarship, basis my criteria, let me copy and paste and put this for the second scholarship. No. So you are free to apply for more than one scholarships, but read at length what is the requirement of that scholarship that will align on the basis of my profile, and then apply for it. And this is complex, so again, we are here to support you so that you get the right direction of which one you need to apply to on the basis of your profile, and how to go about applying, what are the correct links, who do you need to reach out to secure your bursaries and scholarships. Yeah.
Yes, I hope they got the answer. So we'll move towards the next question.
Sure.
Um, okay, so okay. So we can move to the next question. Like, can you please walk us through the steps of planning and managing finances for studying abroad, specifically focusing on scholarships and funding?
Okay. Um, so when we talk about managing finances and how to plan the funding, when we talk about a US study, Prasoon, should I talk about studying abroad or studying in the US for to
Uh,
answer this question?
right now, you can like we can focus on studying in abroad part. That would be
Okay.
better.
Okay, the reason I'm asking is, so planning and managing finances. Okay, I'll try to generalize it and give a broader aspect. There are two components of managing finances and to plan how to go about funding your education, and what are the components that you would require to exhibit. Two things that any country wants to see is tuition fee. Second is living expenses. Every country has a criteria for you to show these two things. This does not change. So you have to show, as a student, you have sufficient funds to pay for your first year's tuition fee, and you have sufficient funds for your first year's living expense. Now, how you could avail that, or how you could go about planning for that? Again, two criteria: funding from your family. So that could be savings in the savings account, that could be fixed deposits. Please be mindful: mutual funds, life insurance policies, PPF, public provident fund. If you show statements of these, they will not comply or apply as per the requisites of what exactly the university or the High Commission wants to see. So you need to submit bank statements of your parents' bank accounts, or your spouse's bank account, or the fixed deposit. These are the two acceptable deposits. That's one acceptable funding accounts. Second way is leveraging it through an education loan. Now, you could balance it. There could be a possibility where you use your personal funds partially and partially leverage it with an education loan. There are countries now that have incorporated a certain benchmark that despite the fact that you're taking an education loan, a 10% funding should be from your own personal funds and savings. So again, we have to take a look at those requirements. Third aspect is when you get your offer letter, if you've already been given a scholarship in the offer letter, great. If you've not got a scholarship, we also apply for scholarships, but do not take the scholarship into account before you are confirmed a scholarship. So let me give you an example. I'm applying for Arizona State University, and the annual tuition fee is about 30,000 USD. I'm supposed to show about 30,000 USD in INR would be close to 24 lakhs. 24 to 24, let's take a 25 lakh figure, and then I'm supposed to show additional 12 lakhs for my living expenses. So that is 37 lakhs. Now, if I'm assuming, okay, what if I get 10,000 USD scholarship, which is close to 8 lakhs, and I reduce 8 lakhs from that 37 lakh, and when I get my offer, I do not get a scholarship. So do not do that in advance. Initially, you have to account for 37 lakhs, and rather, I would say, if it adds up to 37 lakh, keep a funding of about 40 lakhs. Always keep a buffer because of the forex fluctuation. The currency keeps fluctuating. Today, you may keep it at a certain rupee value. And what if the rupee value increases? So we have to keep a buffer of a couple of lakhs for our preparation. The funding could be your self funds. As I said, it could be your bank account savings. It could be your fixed deposits, or it could be by way of education loan. There are many countries who will not accept personal loan, who will not accept gold loan. This is individual, so we can discuss about it at length later individually when if I get the opportunity to look at your profiles. But these are the primary two factors. We will never rule out scholarships, but you need to be able to secure it first before we reduce it from the actual amount which is required to be shown. So these are the steps and how you need to plan it. Now, as part of planning, US requires your funds to be at least 1 month old. So it cannot be that I'm applying for my visa application or university application tomorrow and I put in cash today. No. Your funds and your availability of funds that your personal funds need to be at least 1 month old. And if you're availing an education loan, we need a bank's sanction letter. The good part is there is nothing that you pay for a US education apart from a minor deposit amount, which could be anywhere between $1,000 to about $2,500, which is your deposit to get your I-20. All of the remaining amount will be payable once you reach the university, but you have to show everything so that you get your final confirmation and your unconditional offer letter, which will be required which is the I-20, which will be required for your F1 application, your visa application. So that is the kind of planning that goes into it. And these are the acceptable funds that you can submit to avail for studying abroad and to go ahead with getting your offers.
Guys, I hope you got the answer for this. So you can prepare it as Sheenu told you. Now,
Yes.
there's one more question from Trishna. How about
Sure.
doing human computer interaction masters in US for my daughter who is doing BCom final year? She's also asking, suggest us about jobs and scholarship. And does this
See, this is
master's
come under STEM program. Computer interaction comes under STEM. But what is important to see and note is why would you want to take this program up after completing a BCom? Because we need to have enough validation. It cannot just be that I've always been interested. Was there an element of computers or computer sciences in any of this years of study? That's one. Because this switch is a very strategic switch. It's a very tricky switch. So we have to be very convinced as to why you want to take up a human computer interaction masters in US. Because if she's doing a BCom and she's in her final year, we need to understand the subjects that she holds. Is there an element of computers? Is there an element of AI for that matter? And human computer interaction definitely is a STEM based program, but we need to support our application as to why you want to take that up. So any extra initiative, any extra project, any internship which was done in lines for that, then we will have to take a look at it. As far as jobs is concerned, humongous opportunity in the stream, humongous, but we need to qualify first. So qualifying is important because eligibility criteria needs to be met as the primary thing. And then, of course, we can go about applying to many universities who are coming up with this program, and there is a lot of scope. So she is doing UI UX program on doing and doing her BCom now. Okay. So, ma'am, we would need to just take a look at the profile independently, and then I would be in a better position to assist you as to whether she is eligible, and if UI UX is strong enough and program which is in its own equivalence enough for the student to take up a master's in human interaction, human computer interaction. So we will have to kind of weigh and balance it and look at universities that are offering courses for students who are not from a computer science or a computer interaction background. So we will have to research a bit. So do we have any
Yes,
questions
yes,
here?
yes. We have
Mhm.
one more question.
Right,
So we have question from Vikram again. Like he
right.
thanked you for answering this question. Also, he's asking that he's visually impaired. So can he get any scholarship from Indian government or any organization? If
Yes,
he
there are. There are possibilities that we could look at some scholarships, and for any sort of if there are challenges from a medical perspective, India funds students, and this is for international study. But we will have to check what is available. There are specific deadlines for those. Where when and how you can apply, there is a criteria. So there is a possibility. Lekin, I mean, I'm sorry to say, but I'm sorry to point this out. We will need a medical certificate from an issuing authority to comply with the fact that while there is a certain level of visual impairment or a certain level of weakness, but the student is fit enough to pursue studies in a particular country, because that will be required at the time of your visa application also. So that is also important before we apply for a scholarship.
I'm
So,
sure he got the answer.
okay, great.
Hmm. So, Sheenu, moving on to a last question. This is an
Sure.
interesting one. With your extensive experience as a visa officer, what advice would you give to students to increase their chances of securing both scholarships and visa for studying in the US?
First, and the thumb rule, start early. That's one. Second, do not focus on just going to the country where you want to go. If you're talking about the US today, don't just think that I need to go to the US. Research enough before you have finally decided what is it that you truly want to do. And that research involves time. So if there are students here in this meeting room today who are looking to apply for a fall 2025 intake, start today. Interact. Also, when we get queries, can I just have water? 1 second, please.
Yes, yes, Sheenu. Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. So we get queries from students who say that we want to go to the US or to any country, and they say, ma'am, you do everything for us. That will not work. If you are wanting to look at getting scholarships, if you are wanting to understand how you could secure a good visa and an approval precisely, you have to engage. Because for students, there is a visa interview also. So you need to be able to, you're sitting in front of the visa officer, you might get just about 2 minutes, or you may end up sitting with the visa officer for 40 minutes. You have to be at the receiving end, and you have to be the person who will have to take control of the conversation on the day of the interview, not me as a consultant. Hence, it is your duty to be able to engage with me, and it is, it is always a two-way street. So, as a visa officer, I suggest you have to research, you have to ask questions, you have to start sooner. That's the key. Honestly, you have to start, and you need to kind of brainstorm. Okay, this one works good. This one, don't compromise. Don't compromise just for the fact that you want to go to the US. Let's just go and apply anywhere. Let me look at something which is less on fee. Okay, but there are other ways of leveraging it, even if the fee is higher. scholarships, education loans. So this brainstorming needs time. Hence, you need to start sooner. So that is the thumb rule. Start early, ask questions, engage, work on your essays and statements of purpose, and then work on your interview techniques. Connect with me and connect with us so that we are able to assist you and guide you through end to end, because at every stage you will be the key and the nucleus. It is your visa, it is your scholarship, it is your admission, so you have to be a part of it and start early. That's the most and the final thing that I would emphasize upon.
Thank you so much, Sheenu, for such an insightful session. I hope most of us are now clear about the scholarship part in the US.
Yes,
So, guys, we'll be
thank you.
posting our contact information right in the chat box. So you can reach out to us if you have any more queries. And thank you for being such an uh, interacting audience.
Mm. Thank you so much. You've put in some really good questions. And as Prasoon just said, we are most welcome to get all your queries. I'm available on email. And Prasoon, if you would like, you can share my contact number also. I'm just right there for messages and email. And the GyanDhan team is also available. Get in touch with us, and we'll be more than happy to help you curate your solutions for your study abroad. Thank you so
Um,
much for being so engaging. Thank you. Have a good
thank
evening,
you.
everybody. Thanks,
Thank you so much,
Prasoon.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thank you so much,
evening. Bye
Shinu.
bye.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.